Hello everyone. So today's Leetcode challenge problem is Pascal's triangle and it is day 20 of June Leetcode challenge. Question is, given an integer number nums row, return the first nums row of Pascal triangle. So this is the Pascal triangle and we need to return the Pascal triangle for the n rows. So here n is 5, so we need to return the 5 first row of this Pascal triangle. So let's understand how we can construct this Pascal triangles. Here, if you see what is a Pascal triangle, so a Pascal triangle is a pyramid type structure where these have a numbers in them. So if you see the structure of this Pascal triangle, the first row has only a single one, then the second row has two one at its boundaries, the third row contains two ones at the boundaries and a single two in between. So how this is constructed is that, so if you see for the second row, we added one extra column in the size of the first row and we created this one row and then initializes first and last element as 1 in the second row. So this is how we created second row. For the third row we did the same. We created a row of size 1 greater than the previous row and we initializes the last element as 1 and 1. But now how we fill this middle element? To fill this middle element will be sum of this one and this one, the upper right one. So this is how we created this second element. So if you three boxes marked in green are also represented by this. So this 4 is sum of this 1 and this 3. So how we will make this triangle is that, let's see the algorithm to make this triangle. So first of all, for every new row we need to create a row of size 1 greater than the previous row. So it is quite obvious. So there the size is 1, here size is 2, here size is 3 and so on. Then initialize the first and the last element with 1. So you see every first and last element of every row is 1. So we will initialize all the elements of every row first and last with 1. Now to obtain a middle value, use the formula. So what we will do if we want to obtain a particular middle value, so let's see this. So let's take red pen. So if you want to say you want to achieve this 4, so what is the column number of this 4? It is 1. And what is, let's say the row number is I and the column number is 1. So in order to achieve this element, we need to go to I minus 1 row, that is my previous row, and the same column and the previous column of this row. So here the column index was 1, so we need to go for column index 0 and column index 1 for the previous row and add these two to get this element. So if you see, to get the value of current row and column, we need to say this is equals to value of previous rows previous column and previous rows current column. So for 4, I minus 1 of 0 and I minus 1 of 1, these two elements will give us the value of current element at any middle position from first to n minus 1 position. So this is how we will construct our Pascal triangle, and this is the logic behind constructing the Pascal triangle. So again visit this algorithm. First create a row of size greater than the previous row, then initialize first and last element with 1 and obtain the middle value. You need to do this from second to second last element. You need to use this formula. So let's code it out and see how we can construct this. So let's start our coding part here. So first of all, I will need a vector of vector to store my result and initialize it with nothing. So I have a result vector. So now initially I know that the first row of my pyramid is only 1. So rest dot push back a vector which is only 1. So I will push back this vector here. Now what we need to do, we need to check if the num size, num row was 1 only. So if num of rows was 1 only, then this would be my answer. So I would return this answer from here. So I would return result. Now if the first is not our answer, so then we need to create the second. second row. For the second row, we know that for the second row, we know we have to create a row of size 2 and all the elements would be 1 1 in that row. So we will say for second also we will push back a vector of 1 comma 1, and again if we check if numRows is equal to 2, then we will return from here. Otherwise from 3 to, now let's see, from this index 3 to every index we will have to calculate these middle elements. So for this we have to calculate these two middle, for this we have to calculate these 3 middle elements. So we need to run a loop. So I will say for I equals to 2, because for the first and second row we have calculated previously, and I should be less than num of rows and I plus plus. So what we need to do, first of all we need to create a row of size bigger than the previous one. So we will say create a vector of integer, let's name it temp, and let's initialize a variable size, so we will increment it every time. So initially it will be 3 because the first row we need to create will be of size 3, because 1 and 2 we have already pushed. So let's say size. Now we have created a row of size which is greater than the previous row. Now we need to say the first and the last element will be 1. So I will say temp of 0 is equals to temp of size minus 1, which is equals to 1. Now I have pushed first and last value as 1. Now I need to calculate the middle values. So for the middle values I will run a loop for int j is equals to 1. So for the 0th it was 1, so I will start from 1, and j should be less than size minus 1. We need not to calculate for the last. So after this we need to say my temp of j will be my result of previous row, that means I minus 1, and previous column, that was j minus 1, plus result of I minus 1 previous row and same column, so j. This will give me my current answer. Now I've created this row. I need to push this row in my original matrix. So I will say res dot push back in my original matrix. So this temp will be pushed there, and one thing we need to do is that we need to increment the size here, because next time we want to calculate a row of size greater. It will be inside this loop. So after that we just simply need to return this result. So let's check whether this is working or not. Okay, so it worked perfectly. Let's submit it. Accepted. So this was it for today, guys. It was an easy question, so just try to code it out of your own also. Have a nice day.